Hey, howdy-o, all you fine shits and shitettes. Man, that's actually kind of offensive, but I don't care, frankly. We're here to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's. Um, I don't know how to start this because the new one comes out this weekend, and I have like a deep-seated, I don't want to say hatred for this first one, but like I really was. Let me step it back. Just a really complicated history I have with it, with playing the video games when I grew up in 2014 after looking up the date we just did. But before we get into that, Leo, how are you doing on this fine fucking day, my man?
I mean, it was going pretty well until I watched this movie. So,
Honestly, that's what I say every time I watch this movie. You know what, man? I'm enjoying the nice, brisk, cold weather, and then boom! Five Nights at Freddy's drops its ball sacks right all over my face, and I'm just like, oh, the hair's so stuck. I don't like it, bro. I don't like it.
yeah, I don't. I mean, going back to what you were saying about like your hate for the movie. If anything, I feel like the movie has more hate towards us than anything, because that's
Or
kind
the
of what
movie just hates itself.
I. I don't know. I feel like it's actively trying to piss me off, like because it starts kind of decently, and then it just like starts going downhill very quickly, and I don't know what else to say about it other than it feels like they did that intentionally to just be like, oh, look at you all stupid for thinking this was going to be a good movie.
Well, this movie just like really conflicts me internally, regardless of how I know my feelings are toward this movie. Just because, let's jump it back a little bit. I think it was like 2022 ish, or no, it might even been like 2019, 2020, when they announced Blumhouse was doing a theatrical released film of the notorious like big Five Nights at Freddy's game franchise, and by this point, I think they were on game like 5 or 6. I only played the first two before like all of the plot heavy stuff came in, which I'll just like state is one of my big gripes with this movie is it feels like it doesn't know who it's trying to cater towards. I had mentioned to you before we started shooting how it's really weird that it's a mix of trying to do the horror of the first game, but trying to do the world building of everything that came up after like the third or fourth game, whichever one it was where they went super plot heavy in. And it just doesn't mesh well because I think the people who grew up with Five Nights at Freddy's, not the plot driven stuff, not the William Afton murdering children, all that shit, is a very different audience from what the audience became when I think people wanted a movie. I don't, does that make sense at all?
I think so.
Like I think the fan base and the audience like evolved into something that they weren't originally. I
Mm,
don't know what that is. This is just from me looking outside and just like looking at like the Matt Pat Markiplier, that type of content on YouTube, and
yeah,
just seeing how like what we were discussing, how it became very driven in a universe like, ooh, what are these animatronics? Like people became so invested in the unknown of
like the
everything
mystery.
around it, yeah, that I think they just started building a world to give people like, hey, this is what happened to get Mike here to work this job. And like personally, I don't really care because I never viewed that game, those like original two games, as that, but I
Mm,
do like the world that they built it around, and I think
yeah.
that's where these two films conflict.
So yeah, I mean, right off the bat, I've never played any of the games. I told you this right before. I've never consumed any of like the spin-off media or whatever. My only like I know what the games are and what they're about sort of because I've, watched things like streams and stuff related, mostly like the Matt Pat stuff. So I'm not well versed in any of this stuff, but I understand what you're saying, and I do think this movie could have benefited from simpler plot. And I remember when they first or when I because obviously they've been trying to make a movie about this since 2015, according to the Wikipedia at least. And I think that when I first saw like the early trailers and stuff, I was kind of thinking to myself like, how are they going to make a movie about you sitting in in a security office the entire time work? Because he like a lot of the stuff that I saw was still very much the player very much just being stuck in one area or location the entire time, and this movie doesn't really do that. Honestly, I feel like there's only about 50% of this movie that actually takes place inside the titular pizzeria, which I thought was interesting, if anything. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I just think there's way they're trying to fit way too much story into this than there really needed to be.
Well, that's why I'm even more confused because it seemed like this whole time they wanted to make a sequel from like the get go. Like this movie was actually kind of wildly successful.
Oh yeah,
When this came out,
especially given
it
when it
was
came out.
it was doing the like dual release strategy where it released in theaters and like on its like respective streaming platform
Yeah, I think
on
it
the
was
same
Peacock.
day. Yeah, I was about to say I think it's Peacock. Yeah, Peacock, or I
That
was
was
gonna say
why I laughed
Paramount,
when you
but
said that they've been wanting to make a theatrical released movie
well,
because it.
bro, this one made $300 million.
That's crazy to me, given because
And it
like
was made
yeah.
for 20. It was made for 20.
Oh
It made
really? Damn.
300. And brother, I don't remember what the streaming numbers were, but I remember when the movie came out, it was breaking like a bunch of records in time in terms of viewership, in terms of like a week, 24-hour span. So like this got them like a lot of bucks. And it goes back to like what you were asking me when you were watching it. Why have I not seen any blood? It's because
Oh
it's PG-13 and like they cater to that audience, which I think is kind
yeah.
of stupid. But
I it really is. I mean, because I know that like a lot of the games are kind of like retro themed, right? With like the 8-bit or whatever animation, and I don't think the games from what I can recall, and maybe I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong, but they're not really like gory, right?
no, they're I I don't know if this is like an actual term, but I call them jump scare games
Yeah,
where it's just like you're sitting there, you're looking back and you're using the monitors to see where they are in the pizzeria,
yeah, and they
but
keep
then
moving around and
they
stuff.
keep moving around, but then you have like these doors and entryways. They have to keep turning lights on or closing the doors with like a limited power supply.
Mm,
So it was like interesting in the way that you had to like maneuver, like defending yourself from them because you couldn't just like lock all the doors and keep all the lights on,
yeah,
which is another thing with this movie that I wish they would just like have just focused on Freddy Fazbear's rather than doing this whole subplot with the brother's sister, but then the brother's like brother that I'll be honest, I don't really connect with his feeling that he is responsible for his brother being taken, but that's just me just cuz it feels like an absurdist situation. You're first of all, you're in the middle of the fucking woods with your family with no one else. And some random guy just comes in and just snatches a kid. It's just a weird setup to a situation that I don't think they needed for this story when I already think that everything the lore in the games was offering was already good enough. But it feels like they just added all this stupid generic Hollywood stuff.
yeah. I mean, it didn't bug me as much when I first started because at least I was kind like that was the stuff that I was kind of getting attached to because there was like actually things like interesting going on in terms of the story. Like I didn't mind the whole stuff about him sort of feeling responsible. I think the movie does a decent enough job of setting that up. But yeah, it does become an issue when you kind of quickly realize that the movie doesn't really care about resolving any of that. Like it's resolved in terms of like what's his name? Afton, Matthew Lillard's character, kind
William
of
Afton?
gets kind of his comeuppance, I guess. It doesn't have anything to do with him kidnapping Garrett. and Mike's involvement or anything. I feel like them really trying to make Mike's backstory more tied in with the Fazbear stuff doesn't really add anything, and it just makes it a little more confusing, especially when you get in later in the movie when what's her name becomes involved. But we'll get to that. It just really annoys me that the movie sets it up as like this big deal, but it doesn't really mean anything in the end because it doesn't explain, like you were saying, why William Afton kidnaps this kid. It doesn't like I part of me wants to believe that like that was like the first time that he kidnapped a kid or something, but it still doesn't explain that. It's a really odd like outlier in Afton's sort of like MO, I guess. He goes out of his way to kidnap this kid in the woods when everything else is very Freddy's or Freddy's pizzeria.
Fazbear, Freddy
Yeah.
Fazbear's Pizzeria,
Yeah,
brother. Can't
it's
forget the
very
name.
Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria centric, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, and to like kind of piggyback off of your point, I think what is quite frustrating about this plot line is not only the way it's written, but I think the way it's kind of directed as well within the performances.
Mm,
Simply because none of it ever really makes sense, and it all feels quite contrived to me, in a sense that why is William Afton abducting this child, and then all of a sudden the child's brother grows up, comes to you looking for a job, and in that scene you can clearly tell that like William Afton like
realizes who he is.
realized who he is, and like this was not a setup occurrence. So to me it gets really confusing once you get towards the end and he starts talking to his daughter about, oh, you weren't supposed to lead him on, and I'm like, bro, you hired him. Were you not expecting it? Like, you started this, you didn't need to hire him. And so it seems like in the beginning there's set up for a reason to Mike being there, but in the end it just feels like it turns out to be a coincidence. But in the beginning it never seems to be a coincidence, and throughout it never feels like a coincidence, and it just bugs me because then you have his daughter come in who's supposed to be keeping an eye on him, but then she just like, how does she know who he is? Like, why did the if the father was like keeping an eye on him, why did he tell her everything about him? Like, I don't know, it's just really weird how all of this tries to fit and connect together because none of it really does. And I can't tell if it's the writing, the directing, the acting, or if it's all of it combined.
I think it's all of it combined. I mean, it's not helped by the fact that the script is just overly dumb for no reason because it doesn't explain why Abby all of a sudden is like friends with these ghosts, because like that stuff is going on before the movie starts. So the kids are already interacting with Abby before Mike even meets William Afton at the career center or whatever. And then all of a sudden, like it doesn't explain how the kids or even the animatronics are able to leave the pizzeria, which is something that I always assumed, and maybe I'm wrong about this too, because again, I'm not familiar with the games, but I always assumed they couldn't do, like they were confined to the pizzeria or wherever the game is supposed to be taking place. Um, but regardless, it doesn't explain how any of that works. You're kind of just expected to go with it, and by the time you get to the end and the movie just starts introducing new dumb shit, I was kind of expecting it to explain some of the other dumb shit that we had been, witnessing already. But I don't know. That's just me. I thought that's how a movie is supposed to work. You set up and then you pay off. But clearly, I was wrong.
Well, to kind of add frustration to it all, Mike's dreams just kind of frustrate me as a whole because
Oh.
they just happen because they happen, and that's literally the excuse in the movie. He, I shit you not, they might not have said it like that, but that is almost exactly what the excuse is. I can't remember like how they were talking about it in the conversation, but he's just like, I think it's when after his babysitter was murdered and she came to his house and he was telling her about his dreams and he's just like it's just like I'm really there and then she interrupts and is like almost as if you could change it and that makes you think in the moment that wow he's got powers and then literally like I think 30 minutes later he's just like yeah I just have these dreams but you know that's it. These ghosts can come in. The ghosts that my sister are fucking talking to via these animatronics are talking to me through their ghost in my dreams. And like they try to set up this connection where like he mentions they're more vivid when he's actually there, but they never go anywhere with that either. So it's really confusing when they try to make Mike this important character in the center of it. Like they keep trying to make him important, but they somehow don't. And it's really frustrating because none of his plot really makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes back to what we've already been saying of how the movie sets something up, doesn't fully explore it or explain what's happening, and we're kind of just expected to go along with it. And yeah, I don't know. I thought the dream stuff was a little interesting, but then it just kind of kept going, and yeah, it quickly just became really dumb because I wasn't really sure how it worked because it doesn't explain how the ghost children can like invade his dream. And I mean, it's also kind of a little much to for us to believe that like um Mike can like control what he sees during the dream or whatever. And to the point where like he can keep having the same dream of the same memory. Like
He
I
can
don't
just
think
go back
that's
to bro. He can blip himself right into that bitch every
yeah.
time.
I don't think that's how dreams work at all. And then you just add on the fact that now he's seeing I don't know, it just felt really like, oh, this is like just a horror thing to do. Like, oh, he's seeing them in his dream. And it doesn't really add anything by the end because the dreams kind of become useless. Because I don't understand why he needs to have the dream to interact with the ghosts, but nobody else does.
That's why like I really think the dream stuff kind of just goes nowhere. All the information it tells us and sets up is information the film gives us before the dreams tell us. So it's not
Or sometimes even
telling
after. Like,
that's what I'm saying. It's not. It's never telling us anything really new, and anytime it does, it's only for the plot's sake, if that makes sense.
yeah.
And the only things that are new are only visual stuff. It's not like it's telling the audience anything new. It's just like, oh, you just see the car drive away this time rather than having it insinuated, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I
And
mean,
it's weird.
I think they could have done something interesting with like the visuals, but then to just ruin it by having like and most of it is that Vanessa character, like she's just an exposition machine. Like, for every scene she's in, except for the one where she's talking with Mike at the river or whatever the fuck they're at. Not to say that that's a good scene, it's not for reasons we'll get into, but I just her character really just baffles me because she's really only there as like a plot convenience. But then you have that mixed in with like the weird characterization of her. Like her motivations seem to like flip on a dime, and that's never explained, and then it actually explains like who she is and how she's related to all this, and that just is really unsatisfying and dumb.
Well, the thing that confuses me is I feel like everything the film is telling me about who she is as a character is kind of going directly against everything she's telling us that like she is. if that makes sense. Like I feel like she's a terrible person for being in
Oh, she
cahoots
is.
with her father and being a part of all this, but at the same time it's like from the get-go she seems to have wanted to like get him out. So that's why I'm confused that why all of a sudden she wants to help him, but fuck all these other people and like whatever had happened before.
Well, yeah, like that's literally what I was saying right before we jumped on. Like her character is so contradictory for no reason. Like she says that she wants him to leave and that okay, so the perfect example of this is that when he brings Abby back the second time and she's already there, she doesn't say anything about her being there. She's kind of just like, "Oh, hey, Abby," or whatever. And then when Mike actually says something, semi reasonable, and he's like, "Hey, I think we should set some ground rules," and then he looks over to her for like assistance of like, "Hey, can you help me out here? Like, you agree with me, right?" And she's like, "Nah, let's just build the fort and have some fun." But then later, after she gets hurt, she like completely does a 180 and she's like, if you ever bring Abby back here, I will shoot you. And I'm like, bitch, please, you were feeding into this shit. And
He was literally the one at the beginning being like, "Let's go. I don't want to
yeah,
be here." And
and
she's
then
like, "No, stay."
literally later when she finally reveals who she is to him, Mike calls her out on it. And the movie and her are just constantly playing the victim card on her to explain why she is and isn't a terrible person. And that's even before, like at that point I just figured like, she's just like covering it up. But then the movie kind of does and doesn't reveal that one, they've been trying, like the main goal was to take Abby or whatever. And then also that she was helping the sorry, I need to start using names. There's too many characters. Vanessa was helping her dad, William Afton, by like he says that line of like, "Oh, you were supposed to keep an eye on him and kill him if he gets too close." So that to me implies that she was like in on this the entire time.
But
And
it
so
goes
I'm
back to
just
like, why hire him though? That's what frustrates me.
well, I
He
think
blames her directly, but it's just like, bro, you sat there, you fully realized in the moment, as soon as you looked at his name, who he was, and you're just like, I got a job for you. Like, was your expect? What was your like? I don't know what his expectation was. Was it
I
to
mean
like
that
work
that
there and
aside, I think my main issue is that the movie seems to be telling us that their intention all along was to kidnap Abby and make her one of the suit things. And then the movie just expects us to believe that what's her name, Vanessa, is not a bad person, even though she's been doing all of this like, devious secretive shit the entire time.
she's literally a dirty cop.
Literally, and that's
She's
what makes it
literally
even
a dirty
worse.
cop.
Is like
Like,
not only is she in on this, but she's also a police officer too, and so it's just like, how do you live with yourself? And then the movie is like, at the end, she gets stabbed and whatever, and then she's in the hospital, and both Mike and Abby go to visit her, and they're just like, "Oh, you were here for us when we needed you," and I'm like, I
barely,
guess. Like she came
barely.
in at the last minute and she sort of helped you, not in I don't know, I just can't get over the fact that what she did in aiding and abetting a child murderer is we're expected to just like forgive and forget. Like,
Well, I'll also say this: I don't think the film does a great job at setting up the history of the murders. Like, was this just a isolated event with just this group of children? Did this take place over like a course of decades, 20 years? Because I think in the games it happens over the course of a decade. If I feel like if anyone who played the games deeply is listening to this is probably
I
batting an
think
eye at
that's
me right now.
correct.
But like to me that sounds correct, but the film never like directly tells you what's truly going on like over the time frame as well. Like cuz when I was telling you this film takes place in 2000, you had no clue.
I
I only
assumed
knew that cuz of the fucking Wikipedia.
I knew it didn't take place in present day just based off of like very subtle context clues, but the movie doesn't really do a good job of establishing like what time period. I kind of thought it was like a 90s thing, but I wasn't 100% sure. But then like they kept mentioning that like oh these kids disappeared in the 80s and they made it sound like a really long time ago. So I wasn't entirely sure. For me, I th- the based on what the movie does and doesn't tell us, I assumed that they went missing like all at once, but I think I'm pretty sure in the game, and again, I might not be recalling this correctly, but I'm pretty sure in the games it is like an over like a decade long thing. But yeah, you're right. The movie doesn't explain that either. And now I don't even know if like has she been helping him all along? It just every time you stop to think about it for a second, it gets worse. And
Exactly.
the movie doesn't help by going out of its way to explain the one thing that it goes out of its way to explain is just that she was kind of in on it the entire time. And then you're kind of just left being like, what? How does that make sense? And why are you treating it like it's not that big of a deal when it really is? Because honestly, like it was dumb enough when I was like, oh, she's covering up for her dad because she's a cop. But now it's just worse.
Yeah. And something I think this film does that like kind of makes me actively dislike it as the film goes on is this might seem like a nitpick, but it really bothers me that the film actively hates on Mike throughout the film, and
Oh,
I feel like a lot of the sympathy for the character comes from how much the film hates Mike rather than the events that happen to Mike. And
yeah.
so I get stuck here not really caring about him and just being like, damn, bro, why do you guys just keep bagging on my dude? Like, his fucking aunt hates him. His job hates him. Both his jobs hate him. His parents turn to hate him. His sister turns to hate him. The fucking CVS worker at the end calls him a fucking asshole. Like everyone's just constantly hating on Mike, and he's just like strolling around. And okay, now I'll go back on the point a little bit and say that he was a bit of an asshole for just like randomly decking the father in the mall. That was such a random ass opening, but neither here or there.
I mean,
I
at least
still
the movie
think
explains why.
that's not a good explanation. Like, bro, I'm sorry, but there's no God given fucking reason a grown ass man in his 30s should be tackling another man with a like with it up. I'll just say presumed son, because there's no way you just don't presume that's the guy's child right away. But instead of going up and asking him if everything's okay, he just rock him and socks him right into the fucking water. And I'm just like, damn, bro. Okay, I get it. You have some trauma, but like, it feels like they don't know what to do with Mike, and the script just wants me to hate him because that actively makes me hate him. And then all of the other characters just actively hate on him for,
Well,
I would say, no reason.
well, it's
But
funny. It's funny because there's literally a line like halfway through the movie, like literally after that dumb conversation we just talked about between
doesn't someone
Vanessa
say, "Why does everyone hate you?"
and the little girl. She's like, "Oh, she looks angry. Why does everyone look at you like
Yeah,
that?"
that's
And
it.
I was
That's
just like,
it.
"Oh, damn, she fucking roasted him, man." Like
The movie even acknowledges it, and that's what
it is.
bothers me.
It is a little far fetched, like just how down on his luck he is, and I get that. You know,
It's comical, bro. I
it's just
literally
it gets to a point where where you realize that it's just the movie kind of being lazy in trying to get us to like him, but it doesn't do that effectively enough because like there are moments in the movie where you're just like this dude kind of is just an asshole for no reason, and it's not helped by how much like just bad shit seems to happen.
well, to add on to that point, like up until he found their bodies, like, oh wait, no, she did come to his house, but when what was her name again? The daughter's name? I just blanked.
Vanessa.
Vanessa. When Vanessa comes to his house to talk about how like his babysitter was found dead at Freddy's, I thought about this heavy, and I'm like, wow, bro, Vanessa's covering up all of these dead bodies that her father just probably convinced her these like possessed children to just like do. And not only is she doing that, but like it goes back to like what Vanessa really wants and like her like what side she's on,
Mm.
because like she's just like, well, I could just get you arrested for like all of these murders before I go and file it. But I'm like, bro, you really think she's gonna file that report about all those dead bodies in the one place that her father commits all these murders of profoundness in?
Well, I mean, that's not really what happens though, because she's not there about the bodies or anything. She's there because she found his sleeping pills. Because up until that point,
Oh yeah, that's right.
the only
Because
thing
she's
that
just like,
anyone
yeah.
knows is that someone broke into
But
the
okay,
pizzeria.
but my point is you think she still would have reported it regardless?
Well, that's what I was telling you earlier. I was like, if she really wanted him to
That,
leave, she
exactly.
would have
Going back
just
to your
reported
point.
him, and then he would have lost his job, hopefully, and then this wouldn't be an issue. I don't know. It's just the movie's way of contriving into existence, like him staying and her, like, trying to connect with him. I guess I don't know. It's really confusing, and again, it's just the movie contradicting itself because it wants us to believe so badly that she's a good person and that she cares, but then you look at it like outside of its face value, and you realize that she's just kind of being manipulative for no reason.
Yeah, but then she'll just like not want to be at the last second or something. I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel about all these characters. Like I hate the Ant character. She's absolutely unbearable to like watch in any scene in this movie.
I mean, she doesn't really end up doing anything aside from hiring Max and those other four or whatever to go and fuck up the pizzeria. Yeah, I don't know. I think it again. It goes back to there's too much stuff going on outside of the pizzeria, and I feel like the pizzeria is what should have been the focus of the movie, and like him dealing with like the stuff going on inside.
Well, uh, well, that's just how I generally feel about the film. Is I just feel like it brings you around in circles and circles until you eventually just kind of give up and be like, you know what? Whatever you tell me is going on in this moment, I'll just think is going on. I'll just stop trying to like make it make sense because the film doesn't want it to make sense because it doesn't care about that. All it cares about is getting 13 to 16-year olds into the movie theater, or in their case, in this one, to the theater ends on Paramount, not Paramount, Peacock. I
No,
always mix up the. Was it on both?
no, I think it was just Peacock.
Oh yeah, I always mix up both the P ones. Peacock,
Yeah,
Paramount.
but yeah, I don't know. It's just this movie is a very frustrating watch because it's constantly telling you things that aren't true, and and then it's introducing like new shit without explaining anything that came before. And just by the end of it, like I was telling you that about halfway through this movie, I was ready to give it like a 3.5 stars. I was like, this movie's not like groundbreaking or anything, but it's a decent enough horror film. And then by the time that I got to like the end where she's explaining to him like everything, like who she is and yada yada yada, I was like, okay, this is more like a 2.5, or no, a 2 or whatever.
Damn,
And
bro,
at that point, I thought all the stupid shit was behind us. But then, unfortunately,
got
I kept
dumb.
watching, and it just gets even more ridiculous. And I was just like, oh no, this is worse. This is like a really bad movie. And I don't know how else to say it, but it just keeps doing more dumb shit that it gets increasingly frustrating as you're watching it, because and it does the exact opposite of what a real movie should, and that you get more interested as you keep watching. and just for it to immediately drop the ball and just be like throw in all this like useless story stuff that really doesn't matter just because like oh this was in the games kind of.
No, yeah. And like I don't even think it's a really all that great adaptation of the games. Like that's the part that kind of frustrates me is I really like the hook of this movie. I think it sets itself up really well with like the kind of cold open with that security officer, but then I think I the
That's
one
the
thing I
closest it gets to the games.
well yeah, that's the closest it gets to the games, but also I think something that doesn't work often because I don't think a lot of people utilize credits in like this way. But I think Five Nights at Freddy's has a really good like credit scene in the beginning,
Oh, the
simply
crawl
because
or the
yeah, simply because not only is it like stylish and really cool, but it's telling like the story of like what William Afton did. I don't know if you
yeah.
noticed
No,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think those are cool like ways to tell us the history without actually verbalizing it, which is what they do for the rest of the film.
The movie was like you can have one subtle moment
Exactly, and that's why I find it
and it'll probably
frustrating.
go over everyone's head, and the rest of it you can just explain, but
And
not really.
I thought they would keep like that 8-bit like as a foundational like key piece of art for the film as like this driving narrative just as because it's cool and it fits like the arcade pizzeria because at least I think the place that a lot of people I think would compare Five Nights at Freddy's to is like a Chuck E. Cheese, at
Yeah,
least in my eye, because
you know.
fuck those little robots singing and dancing every time I went there, dude. I literally wanted to slap the shit out of them, but that's neither here nor there. I know I'm frustrated. Do you want to get into
Oh, I
final
thought
wrap
you were
ups?
gonna. I thought you still had more to
No,
say about.
no. That was it. That was it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember if there's something else that I really didn't like about this movie.
I mean, the one thing I take so this for me was I would say the start of like the trend of bad Blumhouse films.
Didn't
Like
the
now,
Halloween movies come out before this though?
yeah, but I thought the first one. I actually like the 2018 one. The sequel came out in 21, I think, right? Which I actually hated.
Mm. Hold on. I'm looking at their list of Blumhouse Productions projects.
Oh yeah, they all came out 21, 22. Because I forgot COVID fucked up those last two, and
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
they
you're right.
released like back to back years. Um, yeah, so you know what? I stand corrected. I'll put. You know what? No, I'll fuck. I really don't know because Blumhouse seems to get like good remarks from people a lot for some reason.
I mean,
Like
I think just every once in a while they make like a banger, and then the rest of them are kind of just
I
like meh.
they
Because like
haven't
the
even
Black
like
Phone came out in 2022,
that was just
everyone
fine
liked that
though.
one. Um, but then they've got things like they them. um,
Ooh, they made one about a pool with with that new Captain America guy.
Wyatt Russell or whatever.
Yeah.
I
It
don't know.
was awful.
They made
It was
that new
awful.
Exorcist movie. Jesus Christ, that came
Dude,
out, dude.
oh
That
my
came out like right
god.
before Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh my god, bro.
And
Oh,
also they did Insidious: The Red Door. Awful movie.
oh my
See, this is the
god,
thing. Like
dude.
they have like they'll make like one good movie
Uh,
for the year, and then the
oh, The
rest of them are
Exorcist.
just like absolutely horrible.
Oh no, dude, you've not. No, dude, have you seen their Exorcist? Have you seen the Exorcist movie, Believer?
No, but
Oh
I've
my
heard
god,
bad
bro,
things
it's one of the
about it.
worst movies I've seen. Bro, it might be one of the worst movies this decade. I'll be honest, it's really bad
Is it worse than this one?
by a mile. I can laugh and like enjoy this one. It's just
I don't think. See, I
sluggishly.
don't think this movie is that funny to laugh at though.
Oh, dude, I think it's hilarious to laugh at.
Like this movie had so much going for it, and it just wasted like all of its potential very quickly. I don't even really want to watch the new one, like because
I do
this
just
movie.
because I want to see if they make up like some more stupid explanations. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I saw the trailer while I was waiting to watch like The Running Man, I think it was, and I didn't really do anything to get me interested. The it focuses a lot on like Vanessa's traumatic past, which
That she allowed, which
whatever.
I fully believe.
Yeah, she.
Like I fully believe.
I love how
like,
we're victim blaming her.
I'm not even like trying to victim blame her, but she complains
That's
about
what it sounds
how.
like. It's
Well,
just the
no, she
movie
complains
makes
about
sure.
how her she complains about how her father does this, and that, and makes sure does this, and
Well,
that.
that's the
But she's
problem with the
also a grown
movie.
ass woman with a fucking
Yeah,
job that also works for the police. Like, but then the issue is like they do nothing to like explain anything.
yeah. The problem is that the movie goes out of its way to try and make us believe that it wasn't her fault, even though it was, and that she's not responsible for any of this, and that she couldn't have done anything to stop it. Like she has a line where it's like because Mike asks her like, "Oh, are you coming?" and she's like, "No." And she's like, "Oh, if he's there, I it's something dumb like that." And I'm just like, "Are you serious?" Like, like we all know that you were in on this and you still won't see reason of like this is a bad thing that's happening. Like she's fully committed to just let him go and try and do it himself and likely fail and die, and then another innocent girl will just be turned into this ghost thing. Like I don't understand how I'm supposed to look at it and not be like you're making excuses not to take responsibility for your own actions. Like I get it didn't start with her, but the fact that she continues to like feed into her father's obsession with these children and just go out of her way to keep everyone in the dark. Like there's too many things for her to have done for me to think like there's any way back from it. And that's why it really upset me when she survived, cuz at least I thought like, oh, if she dies then at least that's something. Like she died trying to sort of stop it. But then the movie just treats it like, oh, yeah, she's a good person now. Yay.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I feel. It's kind of just frustrating, honestly.
Yeah. Anyways,
Do you want to get into final wrap ups?
yeah,
All
we've been
right,
talking about this movie for too long.
yeah, you go first.
All right. So I gave this a 1.5 stars. Hold on. Where's my review? Yeah, I gave this movie 1.5 stars. My review was the first 30 minutes are pretty solid, but the movie just gets progressively more stupid as it limps to the finish line.
Yeah, see, unlike you, I gave this motherfucker half a star and no review because there's nothing I could say that would be funny enough or funnier than this film because I just think like this is everything that's wrong with modern Hollywood filmmaking, and I just think it's like inexcusable. I really hope this second one does anything to like course correct anything.
I don't think it
Kill,
will.
kill, kill character, kill the kid. I really don't care. Bomb them all, honestly, and start anew. Have Pennywise come in maybe and it be a secret it movie. I don't know. Um,
No,
anything.
I think the Running Man was too much of that already.
Oh, dude, maybe we should do a Running Man episode in the future one day.
Oh, you mean like actually talk about the Running Man movie?
No, yeah, because I think they'd be interesting, like comparing the newer one and
Oh,
then
and the
the
original.
Schwarzenegger.
I've never seen the original one actually.
I think you should definitely watch it now because it's a lot different than the new one.
So I've
The
heard,
new
yeah.
one's all the book,
Yeah.
like verbatim. But the originals, like it just took like the ideas, but just does totally 80s things.
Yeah.
But Leo, what are we watching next week?
All right. Next week we are watching. We're watching the Knives Out duology because what is it called? Dead Man something.
Dead Man Tell No Dead Man Stories. I don't know if that's the actual title. I think it's like Dead Man Tell No Tales.
No, that's a Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Damn, fuck. I said
Sorry,
that. I'm like,
it's called Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives
oh,
Out
wake up,
mystery.
dead man. It's a bit of an oxymoron, but sure, I'll get with it.
So yeah, well, that movie's coming out sometime in the
It comes out
next
the 10th.
couple of weeks or something.
No, it comes out
Um,
in like a week
why does it say it already came out?
because it came out in theaters. It comes out on Netflix in a week.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
So
yeah,
like people can see it now in theaters. Um, but yeah, we're watching it next week.
we're
Fuck.
watching the first one, which is Knives Out, and then Glass Onion, the sequel.
Oh, glass onion. I knew something smelled like shit in here, and it wasn't me.
I mean, I like it. It's fine. I know you have
I just think
thoughts.
it's far superior. It's far less superior.
You mean inferior?
Yeah, I want to say inferior, but like that giving it one word is like too easy for like the complex emotions I feel towards it.
I thought it was like, yeah, I don't think it's as good as the first one, but I thought it was a decent follow up. But anyways, yeah, we'll talk about it next week. Yeah, this movie has left my brain fried. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
dude. If you guys want to let us know down below what you guys thought about Five Nights at Freddy's, let us do so down below. I don't fucking know. But if you've also played the games, let us know how much of an asshole we are about talking about them like in an
Oh,
incorrect fashion. But without that, see you guys next week. Peace.